Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Learn with Jason. Today on the show, we're going to dig in to something that I think a lot of us are resistant to, but we really shouldn't be: testing. And testing in the browser is something that has been thoroughly explored. There are tons and tons of options. It can be a little overwhelming, and it can also be a little bit tricky. But there are a lot of great libraries out there, especially some of the newer libraries that are coming out, that make this so much less painful. And today, to show us some new features that are making this even less painful, we are bringing one of the maintainers of Vitest, Vladimir Sheremet. Vladimir, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Yeah, so I'm really excited to have you on the show. I'm really excited to learn about this because testing is one of those things that every time I have a project that is well tested, I'm so happy. And every time I create a new project, I talk myself out of writing tests. And I don't know why that happens. And I'm hoping maybe today you're the one who's going to fix me.
I don't know if I can. I think we like building things. We like building them and then go build more and more and more. We don't want to spend time to just make sure the cement is good, that the foundation is working. We just build.
Right. Well, so before I take off running in that direction, let's take a quick second and just let people know who you are. So for folks who aren't familiar with you and your work, can you give us a bit of a background?
Well, I'm a developer. I started with Vue, maybe 2021, 4-5 years ago. Now and we are jumping now to Vitest. So I joined Vitest. Well, actually, I joined Vitest in 2021 in December. I was working in my company. We were starting to use Vite and had problems with Jest, so we're testing our own components with Jest, and while having Vite, because there was a lot of incompatibility APIs, the globe, import meta stuff, didn't just work in Jest at all. And I wanted to make sure that I can test our components and the company that I was working for, that we can test our components properly. Like there is enough APIs that we don't really need to rewrite everything, because we are we don't like write testing again and again and again. So this was my main goal, and I achieved that goal. I was very active at the time, and Anthony, I think he was here last year. Mm-hmm. Anthony invited me to the team alongside other contributors. I think I saw Hawk in there in chat. So yeah, now I'm a core maintainer. I work every day on Vitest.
Very, very cool. And so for folks who aren't familiar with Vitest itself, can you give us just a high-level overview of what it is?
Vitest is a testing framework. So what is a testing framework? So you write your code for your application, and then you want to make sure that this code works after you changed the color of a button, and alongside doing that, you broke one interface. To not break other interfaces while making the small changes or big changes or refactors in the future, or something is deprecated or something, you usually write tests to make sure that your execution stays consistent, that there are no regressions between your changes. And Vitest helps you with that. It's a tool to run, so to write those tests and to run them whenever you want, like in CI, locally, or anytime you want.
And so this is, it's similar than if, for those of us who've worked with other testing frameworks, if you've worked with Mocha, if you've worked with, what are the other ones? Jest, Jasmine,
Tape, Node test.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so each of these tools has a somewhat familiar, I think some of them are a little different than others, but a lot of them have sort of adopted the pattern of, you say it does a thing and then it runs a function, and that function executes your code to make sure that you compare the output of your code to an expected output, and that's kind of how you make sure that the code you wrote continues to work even as it evolves over time. And so this is all fine when we're testing things like business logic. I want to make sure that the math that I'm doing is still correct, even as I'm changing utility functions throughout the course of that math. But where it gets really tricky, and where I think I and a lot of other folks have sort of fallen off, is when it comes to testing behavior, which ultimately is the most important part of testing, in my opinion, for the web. Because what we care about isn't that the button is exactly where the button was last time we ran the code. What we care about is that when the user clicks the button, they can log into their account, they can buy something from the store. But in order to do that, we have to have like a browser, right? So the way that I remember doing this back when I was at IBM is we had a whole manual QA team, and we would write a checklist. And every time we made a change, they would open up a browser and they would run through the list, and they would do all of the things on that list to make sure that it worked. And this was tedious. It was super error prone. The QA team would, they'd get bored because that is mind-numbing work, and they wouldn't pay attention. They wouldn't see that a thing was broken. They would skip something. So then we started looking at new solutions, and I can't even remember what all of them were, but there were like automated simulated browsers,
Selenium?
JS DOM, Selenium, and now what's the one today that everybody likes? Playwright.
Playwright. Yes.
And Cypress has a thing that does this, and the goal of these is that they actually open a browser and run the code automatically, and then give you a report based on whether or not they were able to do the things that were supposed to be done. And if I understand correctly, Vitest just introduced a way to make this even easier.
I don't know about making it even easier. So there is this thing called component testing that was basically introduced a few years ago, like as a concept of testing your components in isolation. Because previously you would run your end-to-end tests, which they are called, right? So you start a browser, you open the page, everything is loaded, you go one by one. You still need to do it for some cases, but then people started to see that maybe I can be faster if we do it in smaller chunks, like more unit-like, more integration tests-like, but in an actual browser. So Cypress has the component testing. Playwright also has component testing. I think WebDriver has component testing, WebDriver IO, I mean. And so we also decided what's the main reason why I was very passionate about the browser mode is because I got tired of JS DOM issues. Because Node.js is evolving all the time, and they introduce new APIs and they restrict some other APIs, but JS DOM stays basically the same throughout the years. There is not a lot of contributions going on. There is Happy DOM alternative that is active in some way, but it's not complete as JS DOM is. So I was very like, maybe if we can make it fast and if we can make it easy to run in an actual browser, we should give it a try. This is our take on component testing, basically. Yes.
Got it. And you just said make it run in an actual browser. Can you talk a little bit about how that works?
So by default, we just start a Vite server, and then we open a browser, your browser, like your actual browser.
Oh, okay.
You don't need to install anything. You don't need to have anything prepared. You just open your browser and tests are running. It's kind of hard to do in CI because this actually requires a lot of stuff. So we are having an option to provide your own provider. So if you already have tests with Playwright, for example, or with WebDriver IO, if you're already using these for end-to-end testing, you can reuse them with Vitest to run these tests in CI or also locally. I personally always testing with Playwright. My personal choice, personal framework of choice. So by default, it's also supported in StackBlitz, which is very nice. So you can open their production and just run it, and everything's in one tab. Very convenient.
Very cool. Okay, so you talked about component testing, and the idea behind that is that I am taking my components that like the UI behavior, but I'm breaking it down into the smallest piece of UI that I can test, as opposed to having to open up a whole browser, the whole website. And that seems like the sort of thing that is actually really powerful for a lot of reasons. Like, for example, if I'm doing something that relies on data, but the data gets passed into the component, I don't need my test to have database access and user access and all of the things that I would need. I can just give it data, right?
Yes.
And I can drop that in as props, and then I can make sure that my component continues to work. That feels very good. And then I can still have, my end-to-end test to run the most critical flows in my app, but I can test all of the things throughout all of my components without having to wait an hour and a half for my full integration, end-to-end suite to run.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
What I like is to have this critical path, and then for an end-to-end test, and then you test edge cases or different paths for in a component test. You can pass down the data, which is nice, which is a good thing. But for performance, also it's very nice that in the time that it would take you to run one end-to-end test, you can run 100 small tests in the same browser in the same frame or something. Just for a single component, instead of rearranging, like you can run 100 tests in one file instead of 100 tests in end-to-end test, which will take you quite some time.
Yeah. Well, okay. So I have a million other questions, but I think it'll be easier to show them in code. So why don't I take us over into the pair programming mode, if I can find that button. Here it is. And before we get started, let me turn on the banners. We've got this show, like every show, being closed captioned. We have Vanessa here from White Coat Captioning. Thank you, Vanessa. And that is made possible through the support of our sponsor, Netlify. We are also today using Tuple. And Tuple is going to allow Vladimir and I to pair program. He's got control over the mouse if he needs it. He can draw on the screen. He can send me links, all the things that we want to make pair programming a little bit easier. And I've been really enjoying it. I think it's a great tool. So thanks, Tuple, for sponsoring the show. We are talking to Vladimir here on the internet, and I don't know why I wasn't following you. I'm following you now. So you should go and give a follow.
Yeah, that's me. That's my cat.
I like that the Vite maintainers with cats as profile photos. It's good.
It's a requirement.
So here is a link to Vitest if you want to go and check that out. This will all end up in the show notes as well. And let's see, here we go. There's the link there. And then we're talking about browser mode specifically today. So I'll drop a direct link to browser mode for anybody who wants to get in there.
Yes, just to note that today, a few hours ago, we released 2.1. So it has some changes to how browser mode works and the new APIs introduced. I also wanted to show you here, just to know.
Excellent. Yeah, I'm super excited. Okay, so if I want to learn, right? I want to get better at testing. We're going to see if we can fix me today. What should I do first? Like, where should I start?
We should have a project first to test.
Okay.
Right.
So why don't I switch over here, and I'm going to jump into my GitHub folder, and let's do npm create. You're a view dev, right?
Exactly. Yes.
Okay. So to create a new view site, is it npm create view?
If I only knew.
Or wait, no, it's Vite, right? Like Vite at latest, and then we can choose view.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to call this Vitest browser mode, and then we'll choose view from the list. There it is. TypeScript. Okay. Actually, let me just open this. All right. So now we have this project, and I'm going to git init so that it's not hidden. We'll npm install. While we're waiting for that, I will get these arranged a little bit, and then we can npm run dev to see what we're starting with. All right, so here's our basic setup. We got a new view site, it's running in Vite. We've got a counter, and it looks like it's all nice and simple. So here's our general setup, right? And then we've got our hello world in here. So if we open up the hello world, we can see all of our bits. Here's the count. Cool. Okay. I'm ready.
Okay, now we have a project. Nice. Now what we need to do is install Vitest, I guess. Vitest doesn't have create commands, but it has its own init command after you install it for a browser mode specifically. We made one in Vitest 2 because previously it wasn't very nice experience to add browser tests.
And is it just npm install Vitest, or do I need like Vitest?
Vitest and Vitest browser. So add Vitest/browser.
Okay. All right, so I have, let's look in the package JSON. I have Vitest, I have Vitest browser.
Yeah, latest, yeah, nice.
Okay.
Now let me remember. I think it's so Vitest init browser, or
like that.
Yeah.
Okay. TypeScript.
Nice.
And you said
So
Playwright.
We can try with Playwright. We can try with Preview to see how it works, like without anything. I think Preview is the default because for Playwright we'll need to install Playwright. Right, we can after that to run it in CI, we can install Playwright to see how it works also.
Got it. Okay. Let's see. So
this actually doesn't matter for the preview because you can choose any browser at any time.
Okay, we're using Vue. Nice. Okay. All right. I'm following. So now we can.
It should have added you the test browser script, I think, in package JSON. So by default, it installed you also an example with another hello world example to run your tests with.
Got it. Okay. So in our example, when I run the test browser, the Vitest workspace is set up here.
Yeah.
How does
it by default? But by default, it creates. So it checks from known number of configs. So if you didn't have any config, it would create your Vitest config. But then since we cannot assume that you reuse the same config, we create a workspace that has so you can run your Node.js tests at the same time as your browser tests, because we cannot assume that you are looking for only browser mode. So to run it, I think you need to test browser or something.
Yeah, npm run test browser.
I saw some errors.
Okay, await can only be used inside an async function.
So the example is not very it's not very correct. Yeah, let's go to example. It's not an async. Yeah. The generated.
So I need this.
Yeah.
Just this one.
Test callback should be async. Yeah. No.
Oh, the callback. I understand.
Yeah, the callback.
I'm with you. Got it.
Yeah,
okay.
Didn't code it in the our QA didn't code it.
So the requested module does not provide an export name page.
Okay.
What is that?
This is the first time I'm also trying with 2.1. So we're going through this together. we both see these errors for the first time.
Okay. So let's see. This one is saying that property element does not exist on type expect static.
Oh, so yes, when you ran init, I think it also printed you like a helpful message.
Oh, and then I totally didn't read it.
Oh yeah. So you need to since it's possible for tsconfig to have like references and stuff like that, we decided that for now it will be fine for us to just add to just ask you to add a types, and there is Vitest browser / matchers.
Okay, so where do I put those? Like, do I have to install that?
No, you don't need to install it. It's already installed, but it should be in the tsconfig that covers tests.
tsconfig.
This doesn't cover tests, I think.
Node.
This only covers vitconfig. We can just add also, I guess, all tests here.
Okay. Where do I put that?
Okay, let me try. Should try this functionality.
Yeah, go ahead.
Keyboard input is disabled. Okay, enable. Oh, it works. At least this works. Test.ts.
Okay.
And let's add types here. So if you use any providers, you would add something like Vitest browser. This is all in the documentation. So in installation steps, this is all described very well. But by default, I think it's this. I saved it. Yes, now it's just an element.
Got it. Okay, so let me run this again. And it says this time it doesn't like Vitest browser context does not provide an export named page, but we're not using an export named page.
Yeah,
let me just stop and restart it.
Yeah. We're debugging in real time.
Okay.
Interesting.
So one of them worked, one of them failed. I can.
Oh yeah. So what worked? So GSDOM 1 didn't work. It looks like so. The first one is just your node test, because by default we're like since we're still node based test runner, we decided not to remove your ability to run tests in node. So when in the Vitest workspace file, you can go back to the Vitest workspace file and comment out the first line. So in the comment, it says that if you have existing tests, this will keep running them.
Oh, I get it.
But since you don't have any existing tests, you don't really need it. We need to run again, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay, so now we're running our one set of tests.
Yes.
Good. Okay.
Whew.
We did it. All right, so that's on me for immediately clearing the output of that that setup when we ran it, and then it got eaten by when I started the tests. But okay, so now we've got basic tests running, and what we're expecting here is that we're looking for the get by text. We're rendering the hello world component, and we make sure that it has hello Vitest in it, which is great, and that is checked by we can pass in prop. All right, so this makes sense. I can define the props. I can choose the component I'm rendering. This I get this. This makes sense to me.
Yes, this is based on testing library, which is a library made by Kent Dodds, I think. I really like the approach of the I think it's testing trophy, right? So you have unit tests, you have so on and so on. So we decided to adopt the same approach for the new locators API, which was also inspired by a Playwright. No, not just inspired, but it's forked from Playwright. You can see here, get by text. It works in the preview provided, it works in Playwright, and it works in WebDriver.io. So whatever you use, this still works between all the different providers. And uses the same mechanism under the hood.
Got it. So there's a question. What you just mentioned, the React testing lib. Why would you reach for this over the testing library? Or I guess what are the trade-offs between the two?
Trade-offs. So one of the things that we really wanted to have is built-in retriability. As you can see here, expect element is actually returns asynchronous matchers. So when you say to be in the document, get by text will retry. So it has like an element. Let me show. So it has an element method. It will call this element method until there is an existing element. If there is no element, it will throw an error. And so we really wanted to have this easy and easy built-in. I wasn't able to achieve the same with testing library. And it's also another thing that I wanted to solve is Shadow DOM access. There is a requirement, for example, for lead tests to have access to Shadow DOM, and testing library doesn't support this at the moment.
Okay.
So I was looking for solutions, and I liked how Playwright resolved this. So in the end, we ended up on this one. There was a big discussion with the team how we want to approach this, and this looked like the best outcome.
Very cool. Okay.
As you can see here, so we saved the file, and the test took 129 milliseconds. So running your test or in 15 milliseconds. Exactly. It is actually fast when the browser is open.
Yes.
It's very nice.
Yeah, because I'm just leaving it open in the background here. We've got our test running, and whenever why don't I put these side by side?
You can actually edit files inside of the UI. If you
for real?
If you can expand it for a bit, I'll click. So if you hover, it doesn't. So there is this button, show details, I think,
okay.
And there is a report for the test. You can also see the module graph of your files.
Nice.
You can see the contents and how it's actually rendered. So this is your source code, and this is what the browser sees. And so and there is consoles, and there is a code. So we can, I think we should be able to just do this. Yes.
Oh, interesting. And so is that saving back too?
It's saying back, yes, to your source code. This also works with Node.js. Yeah, we decided to reuse the UI. So UI was built when Vitest started by our team. I think Håkan actually improved the performance of UI. So when I decided to reuse the UI for browser mode, I made some questionable choices to how I structure it. And so Håkan came in and helped me fix this. In 2.1, I just wanted to show the main thing that comes with 2.1 is a resizable window. So in 2.0, this UI would be one-to-one. So if your screen was small, but you had a big viewport in your test, you would see only the part of it. But now we are resizing it. So like Cypress does, for example. So you can see all the content in your test.
Yeah. Oh, that's really cool. I like that. So this is slick. So I mean, this already, I'm really excited about this idea that if I'm working on something, I can just fix my test here. Because if I'd broken it,
which is interesting, actually, yeah.
Right, because this one is now failing because it doesn't have the right info, right? So I can see that, and then I can get in here and figure out what I did wrong, and now I'm passing. So that, I think, that sort of like rapid feedback is so important when you end up, like whenever I'm building something, what makes me not want to do tests is if I know that writing tests means that I'm going to try it, and then I have to run a 45-second test suite, and then if it fails, I have to remember what I just did, because in 45 seconds, I've definitely, like, my mind is onto something else, right? So having this instant feedback of, like, if I'm wrong, and I know that I'm wrong, I get that feedback in a second, and then I can go and I can look and say, all right, what did I do wrong? All right, oh yeah, it needs to be the right props for this to make sense. And that feedback loop will actually keep me in the zone so that I can keep making progress on this, as opposed to waiting for results, getting distracted, standing up to get a snack, coming back, checking Twitter, all the things that keep me from getting work done. This is like HMR for tests. That's kind of
Exactly.
I like
Yes,
that.
this is how it started. How so Anthony came up with how it works. This is how we promoted it. Yeah, it's basically HMR for tests. We really like how, but yeah. So just by default, for example, runs test, and then finishes the output, right? So, but Vitest by default follows what Vit does as a dev environment. It starts at the dev environment, your testing environment, and then you work inside of it. So everything is always ready, which makes it very fast when you work with it.
Very cool.
But startup time can be sometimes not up to the standards, especially with the browser mode.
And then we chose Vue today. I saw a couple other things in the list, and Talpa's asking, does this work with Angular?
I saw today Angular, and there is a project that works with Angular, but I haven't tried it personally.
Okay.
So I've never written an Angular test, so I cannot vouch for it, but I'm sure it's possible to make.
Well, it looked like there were a bunch of different, where was it? There was a list, if I remember correctly, because there's like Vitest Vue, Vitest React.
Yes. Let me try to overtake.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think it should be somewhere. There are examples. So we go here, and there are, for Vue, Svelte, and React, our built-in ones. We decided to go with these three for now. We can expand for like React, stuff like that later, or Angular. And here it's very laggy for me, so it's not instant. So there are some examples for actually how to use events, to fill the input, type data into the input. And there are examples with testing libraries. So previously, one of the reasons why we decided to move to our own package is because we had our own user event implementation through like CDP protocol, Chrome DevTools protocol, which actually fires an actual event instead of emulating them, how it works in Cypress, for example. But our documentation was very like, okay, here you use testing library to render stuff, but then here is a testing library user event, but actually not testing library user event. It's actually a different user event, and it was a kind of a chaos. Having it all under one umbrella helps explain stuff and make it easier for the end user to actually use it.
Got it. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So let me get back over here. I'm going to pull this down, and then let's do it. Yeah, all right. So question, when I first heard about browser mode, I recall being mentioned that it can help with end-to-end, similar to Playwright. Can you clarify what that means? Does it run Playwright tests? I think I know the answer to this one. It does.
You can answer. Kind of yes and kind of no. It uses Playwright, so you can access any Playwright API from the page or the browser or frame, but it doesn't actually run Playwright tests. You need to use Playwright to run end-to-end tests,
Okay.
The big difference with Playwright is that Playwright defines tests inside of a Node.js environment. So the test itself runs in Node.js, but what we did in Vitest is we run the file itself in the browser. So it makes it faster to start up sometimes. And it makes it easier to migrate. So if, for example, if you already have a JS DOM test, you can actually just say run it in the browser, and it will work. Or it should work.
Nice.
Unless you use some very esoteric APIs.
But so I feel like I get how this works. And now I want to just run through some of the basics of how things function, right? So we have our basic app here, and it has things like a button that we can click here that has
Right.
a count on it, right? So if I want to make a test that says whenever I click this button, the count should go up by 1. How would I go about doing that? So I have a hunch that I start by making a test file like this. So I'm gonna create one, hello world.test.ts, and then
Almost.
oh, oops. Okay, there we go. All right, so now I have a failing test in here because there's no actual
Yes.
code in it, right?
By the way, you see the 0 here is because it's a workspace. Because it's a workspace project, and by default they use IDs if you don't define it in a file or in a a folder. And you can say the test.name and give it a different name, so it will look better. It's just a
Oh,
note.
okay. Okay. So then to actually do this, let's see. We've got some bits that we need. So I know I'm going to need the I'm going to start with test, and we're going to import that from Vitest. And you said that gets a
We'll
name.
start. Oh, no. So I was saying about the project. So in the Vitest workspace file, if you go there, if you add a name there in the test object,
yeah, let's
name
call
it
this.
any way you want. Yep.
Got it.
I think you need to rerun the CLI because the updating the config doesn't work as
Oh, right.
expected.
Okay.
Yeah, now it uses.
Oh, look at that. Now I actually have names.
Yeah. Yes.
Slick. Okay, I get it. So then in here, I should say I want to describe it. So test counter button increments on click. All right, so that's the way that I would want that to work. I get a test. This is probably going to need to be async, is my guess.
Yes.
Okay. And then
we decided to go in the route of Playwright to await everything instead of going through the Cypress route that it's not very understandable to newcomers. I still don't understand how Cypress works.
Okay, and so for this,
so it's a default export.
It is a default export. Okay.
Yep.
All right. So now I've got my hello world component, and so then I need to render this component.
Yes. So one thing.
Okay.
In the previous test, we import render from the package for Vitest browser view, but you can also call render on the page if.
Interesting. So I want to render the component. I want to click the button, and then I want to check the current count. Right. These are my steps that I want.
Sounds reasonable.
Okay. So do we want to, in this case, render the page, or do we want to render the component?
I want to render the component by calling the render function on a page variable. If you say page, I think it will import it.
Oh, I want page from the context?
Yes.
Okay.
It should have a render, I hope. Yep. And then we pass down the component. So it's the same function, but it's just easier to access.
Oh, nice. Okay. And then this, let me go back and look.
I don't think you need to use props, but I'm not sure. Yeah.
There's a message. We don't really need the message for this one because we're testing the button. So.
But it is required. So
it is required. Okay. So if I do a message, just give it a test.
Okay. And it was also typed. You saw that TypeScript didn't allow you.
Oh, I did see that. Yeah. That was great. So without this, if I try to just do an empty, it'll say you need message.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's our message. Then I want to Does this return, like, am I getting this into a variable?
Yes, I'm
Okay.
calling this a screen, but you can call it anything.
Okay. And so this gives me back my screen. And then what I want to do is find the button, right?
Yes.
Okay. And to do that, I would, do I go into the container?
So I would follow what testing library suggests is to use get by role selector.
Get by role. And then this one's going to be a button.
Yes.
Okay. And then I can click it. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
You need to await it because the click returns is a synchronous operation.
Okay, so we await the click, and now I want to expect, I think,
Yeah.
I want to expect screen get by role button
Element.
Wait, how do we actually check this? Hold on, let's look back in the component. And it says count is, and so we would expect this to say count is 2, or count is 1.
Yes.
Okay.
Count is 2 in 1. How is the default?
It starts at 0, I believe.
Oh, okay. That's 1.
Yeah, so it's starting at 0. So we click once and it should say count is 1, and then we can click twice and it should say count is 2.
2.
But so then we're looking for
Element is a method, you need to call it. And then that's it. Then on an expect, you would use to have text content, I think.
to have text content.
Yeah, we bundle testing library just DOM for this. This uses just DOM API.
Okay. And do I need to await this one?
This is an interesting one. So you wrote an assertion that only fires once, and then it will fail or not. So it can be a bit flaky depending on the machine, on your CI environment. To make it retriable, you would need to, first of all, await it, right? Then you would need to call expect.element.
Expect.element. And then do I get rid of the element here?
Yes.
Okay.
This will call element again and again and again until the text is count as 1.
Okay. And so I've broken something. Let's go find out what it is. So it says, let me make this bigger. Counter button increments on click, which it should.
You need to, yeah.
And we don't have our UI.
There's a report button, like a tab, report tab.
Here.
Yep.
Page.render is not a function. Okay, so I'm breaking something.
So this is broken because by default we actually don't inject render unless you specify it in a setup files.
In the setup file. So that's the...
Yeah. It's in a config. In the workspace config.
Oh, workspace.
Vitest config. I need to write it down. Like what's making it harder so I can remove extra steps.
Vitest workspace. Got it.
So you can add setup files.
Add setup files.
In a test. Yep.
Setup files.
And add here Vitest browser view. I think it's called browser
view, like that.
Yep, and then it should work.
Okay, probably.
I'm just writing down all the bugs that I'm seeing.
Hey, past that time. All right,
nice.
So here we go. Now we've got a passing test, right? And if we were to, for example, run this again, this one, then we could, let's let's see, we can take our to-dos out. And then let's run this one more time. And this time it should be 2, right? So this is, we're going to get this bigger here. We're going to render this button, or this component. Inside the component, there's a button. So we're going to grab that button. Then we click it.
You want to click on it. Mm-hmm.
Then we make sure that the count is right. Then we click on it again, and then we make sure that the count updated. So that's, I think, a reasonable way to check the output of these buttons and make sure that they're rendering properly. So then when we come back out here, it's doing the thing. And we can see here, there's our count. It's working, right? And I also
you can even click it yourself.
It's really nice that that just works. That's really good.
Yes, and this is another thing why we're using our own library. By default, testing library removes everything after every test, but we need to keep the state, you know. So there is an additional logic to remove the DOM only before the test starts. So you have at least your last test is visible always.
This is definitely great. There is a question.
And you didn't install any Playwright, any WebDriver. It's just your browser that you chose to just open.
I mean, this is excellent because it cuts down on one of the other barriers to entry for me, which is that I don't necessarily want to spend hours, or even you know what, I say hours. I don't even want to spend 30 minutes like actually configuring my tests. If I can just write them, I'm happy to do it. And for a project where it's just me, maybe I don't care if I don't have CI. Like maybe if it's just me, I'm just going to run this on my local browser and make sure that I didn't break anything before I commit the changes, right?
Yeah,
like
it's also nice to just experiment. You know, you have your own component. You can just start it up in the browser and just preview your changes without breaking your actual app. You know, just in isolation. Render something, see it on different viewports. You can call like page.viewport and open a different viewport.
Yeah, I mean, this is great. We got another question. Can we organize tests in suites? Like other frameworks have a describe block. So is there a similar kind of concept here where I can wrap these in a group?
Yes, it's called describe.
Oh, perfect. Okay, let me do it in here so that we can.
There is no auto suggestion, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. So let's call it our Hello World tests. And then this one, does this one need to be async?
No.
Okay, so we wrap everything up. And what that means out here is we end up with.
I don't see any changes.
Did it change anything? That's actually a good question. Does that render out here anywhere?
It should. Yes.
Oh wait, what happened? Cannot
there are
read
3
properties,
errors.
Undefined.
Something broke.
As.
This is an error in Vitest side. Interesting.
Okay, let me check if maybe it's just like I changed some things mid-run and everything is doing weird stuff now. Oh yeah, here we go. So now we've got our Hello World tests, and then we've got the tests themselves, and you can see that the whole collection passed. So I don't know why that. Oh wait.
Does it still show errors? Interesting.
Properties of undefined reading has, but that is.
I'll just keep it for myself. Well.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. The tests themselves run fine. There's something on the server side, on the server part of Vitest doesn't work for some reason.
Got it. Okay, and then that.
It's a bug.
Somehow in here because it all goes away when we take this out. I think.
Did it run?
I thought so.
I guess it also breaks the running.
Yeah, interesting.
Collecting bugs live.
This is my superpower. Like I
This
can
is very
find
interesting. Yeah.
I can find the weirdest bugs. I also have like, how there's like that person who just kind of attracts chaos. So because I do this show every Thursday, I have everything installed on this computer. Like this computer is like it has got to be the sickest computer on the internet because it just has everything and all smashed in here. Let me make sure. Yeah, we did import the describe, but it looks like something I'm doing or some interaction between
Yeah.
the describe blocks and something in here is causing an error that I don't think is my code. So we can leave those out for
Yeah.
now, but it is possible, or it will be
It is. It's
possible once this bug is
yeah.
fixed.
Just want to remind you, this was released a few hours ago, so there will be 2.1.1. It's every time you release a feature version,
Right. If you don't have the
fixed one is
the
2
patch
hours.
version out within hours, you
Yeah,
weren't pushing
exactly.
hard enough, right?
Exactly.
No, this is great. Okay, so we have built out the kind of the basics here. So we've got a component, we rendered the component, we grab the button, and I mean this is great too. Like this, you helped me with the name of the function, but now that I know what the name of the function is, I kind of got through this on autocomplete and intuition, which I think is a really good sign for a library, is that I sort of knew what was coming next, and I haven't had to open the docs. It's nice to be able to sort of vibe your way through an API. I think that's a sign of good API design. What are some other features that we should cover here? Like what are some other things that we can do now that are worth exploring?
That's an interesting question. One of the things that we added in 2.1 is uploading files. So we can upload a file maybe.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, let's do it. Let me open up the
Test that
app
it's
here. Or let's add a new component, and we'll call this one file upload .view, and then I'm going to just copy paste to go fast.
Yeah, I think we just need like an input with type file or type.
So I'm just gonna get all of this in here, and we'll do a form, and then we'll do. Keep it semantic, Then we'll say upload a file and input type file. And that would have a name of upload, if I can spell it right, and an ID of upload. And I believe that is that's an accessible file input element. Then we'll give this one a button type submit and a name of upload. Okay, so that's our basic setup there. We don't need any of this, so I'm gonna drop it out. And then in our app, why don't we, let's just stick it at the bottom, that'll be fine. That, so import file upload from. Okay, so then
Great.
let me open another terminal here so that we can also npm run dev.
Oh, I wonder how this will work.
Post 5174 failed to resolve. What did I do wrong?
You need to .view. To specify .view by default. You cannot use an extension.
There we go. Okay, so now down here we have our file extension, and we can go into our downloads and grab something. We'll get here's a picture of Michael Chan. Let's and then we could upload. Why didn't that work?
Because there is no Wait, it should still
Should let
reload
me
the
click
page,
it, right?
right?
Yeah, so I broke something in here, which is interesting, but or maybe it's just because I didn't set anything. There's no.
Yeah, there is no action, there is no type. Well, it is supposed by default, but where?
Yeah, it should do a. It wouldn't it be a get by default? Anyways, that's not the part that we care. Well, I guess we kind of do because we need to be able to click that button, right? Oh,
Yeah, but
I figured out what I
bottom.
did wrong. Where were you on that one, chat? Oh, they were so ahead of me.
Don't touch that button.
All right. So now there's our button, and when we click something, there we go. Do one of these, click one of those, and there we go. It does the thing, right? Okay.
Nice.
So we have a file upload.
This is interesting. This is, yeah, when the page is reloaded, there is a special behavior, which is not decided yet, but it happens. So we didn't decide what should happen when the page reloads, because this is a get. There will be a reload of an iframe. By default, it just reruns every test again, and we will probably go into an infinite loop here. But
Okay.
let's try it.
I'm ready. Infinite loops are one of my favorite ways to break things. So we'll get the test. We'll say handles file uploads, and that's going to be async. All right. And so the first thing that I need to do is get page, and we're going to render, and we need that component. So we'll import file upload from components file upload.view. Okay. And I don't need props on this one, so I think I can do I need to supply an empty object, or I can just leave it?
No, you can just leave it like this.
Okay. So then the next thing that I would want to do is I want screen, or no, I need to save this as screen.
Yeah. You can still use page. It also has all the properties, but that's just scoped to this specific element.
Got it. So we're gonna get by
label
text, and that would be what did I call that? Upload a file.
Upload a file. Yeah.
Another reason to write semantic HTML is that this wouldn't work if I hadn't labeled my
exactly.
Input. Okay.
This is one of the effects of this library, right? It forces you to write semantic HTML because it's easier to use then.
Oh,
there's an upload.
There's an upload right on it.
Yeah.
Okay, and
so
then
you can either pass down a path to the file on the file system, even if you don't use any providers. So even by default, you can pass down a path to the file system, or you can create your own new file, something,
Got it. Okay, that's cool. So I guess if I wanted to do that, I could take this, let's go here, get the, where's that photo of Chan?
We lost the photo. We uploaded it
here, and maybe I'll just drop it in there for now. That's a terrible place for it, but we'll keep it anyways. And then we'll just grab that photo. Okay.
Then we need to await.
So we'll await this. And now that this is, so this will put it into the component, but it doesn't submit the page.
Yes, it doesn't submit the page yet, but we can see it in the title. When you upload, you'll see the name of it on the input.
Yeah, actually, yeah, and we don't really need to test browser behavior, right? It's an upload. So as long as we put, if we hit the upload, we know that works. We don't the browsers write plenty of tests for that. So instead, what we want to test is that the upload shows up in the format that we need it. And that would be right. I guess like I'm leading without actually knowing where we're going. What?
We probably need to display the file itself, because usually if you upload something, you either display it right away or you save it on
That's
CDN
that's a
and
good
display
point.
it.
So why don't we do this? We'll let's see. What's the easiest way to do this? If the file is uploaded, we get it in the query string. So then we would need to what? Like just drop that into an image?
We
I don't know.
can we can store the file when you upload it. You can store you can listen for on change event to store it in the component, then display the file as a SRC. But I think to display it, you need to transform it to the base 64 or something. So it's a bit
There's
tedious.
a little bit going on there. Can we just take like the path name or something and stick that on the page as a shortcut for now?
We can, yes.
Okay. Do you remember how to do that?
So by default, Vue doesn't have anything to help you with this, but you can just access location, href, and query params. Get.
Yeah. So what is remind me how to define a submit handler, because what we can do, I think, is just update a ref, right? Like when yeah. And then we can have like an input. We'll just put oh, you got it. Go ahead.
Yeah, let me try. On submit event. I think we can just pass it down here. Oh, we prevented in default, so it's not. So it doesn't go into an infinite loop.
And then if we get the form data, then that should allow us to. That'll actually give us a readout that we can spit into like a pre-tag or something.
It will give us a file.
Yeah.
But to display a file, you need to convert it to base 64.
So we don't need to necessarily to like display the file. So we can do like data equals form data.
We can just we can just display the name of the file,
Yeah, and then the file will be data.get upload, and then out here, I think what we can do. So I need to update this, and to do that, it would be file equals, and I need a ref, right?
Yeah.
And the ref, we'll just leave it.
Didn't import for some reason.
Oh, come on. Is it just from Vue straight up?
Yeah.
Okay. Then down here we would do a like a pre-tag, and I want to set its content, and to remind me how to do that in Vue.
You can just close it and then file.
Oh, perfect.
Oh.
That was all I wanted. Okay, perfect. So this then, theoretically speaking, when we get back out here, we should see something happen. And we missed a piece. Oh, we didn't actually update the...
Oh, we didn't save that.
So let's dump it, and then we also want to set... I did this...
naming collision.
Yeah, naming collision there, so we'll call this one input, and then I probably need this to be above, declared before it's used, and then we want file... Can we just set it to equal?
File.value equals... That's not Svelte. In Svelte you can, but not here.
Got it. Okay, yeah, all right. So then, theoretically speaking, we get here...
Like just anything.
There's our object file, and so then we can... If I just want a JSON string, can I do it in here?
You can. Yeah, I wonder what it will show you, but...
Let's find out.
Can it even... will it
Okay, so that's closer to what I want. So then we get one of these.
You can just do dot name, I think.
We upload and we get nothing. But this is, yeah, all right. So we're going to instead do file.name. Good call.
But it will be null by default, so it will probably...
Yeah, so it shows up empty.
Because it's null by default. Yep.
Okay, now you're not yelling at me. Then we do one of these. We do one of these. We do one of these, and we get our file name. All right, cool. So that's good, because that means now when we're in here, we can write our test. And what we're looking for is in our test.
I just want to say that we could have done this with Vitest browser mode without running the VDev server. You know.
I forgot that this would happen. Yeah, because we could have been in here, just doing the thing.
Exactly.
Assuming, did I let this die?
Something broke.
Yeah, I think I. There we go. All right, so then we got these. We got our file upload. It handles file uploads, and currently it's not actually doing anything. So over here we've got our code.
Since this is the first test that runs, it doesn't. It doesn't keep the state. If you run it again, it will show you the state of the component.
So there we go. So we are rendering, and then I think I got partway through this and didn't. Let me actually save this, and then let's head back out here. And so what you were saying is we can do this here. So we will upload, shrink this down a little bit. Okay, so now that we've got this part here, we run it. It says it uploads Chan, and then what we would expect is that we want to await screen dot get by role. If I want to do the button,
I don't know how to access the button. Yeah, button get by role button.
And then we would click that, and then we would. Well, actually, let's just see how that goes. Okay, so that's not showing us our
Are there any console logs? There's a file there.
So it looks like it's not finding this particular file, which makes me wonder if do I need to give it a path.resolve or something?
It's by default it's relative to the test file.
Okay.
So it should be correct here. But what's in the console log itself? So in the a DevTools log. Does it have anything?
431 request header fields too large.
I don't know what it is, but what's the file? Does it?
It's a tiny file. It shouldn't be that. Where's the actual file? Let's find this in Finder. It's 35 kilobytes. It shouldn't be too big, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
What does it show in the log again?
Let's see. Nothing here. Let me run this one.
So it's incorrect. It shows an empty name. So it's maybe not very. Oh.
Request header fields too large.
Interesting.
Oh, do you think?
Oh, so it fetches. Yeah, that's what happens. So I think to do this we use fetch. Maybe there's some limitations or something, like locally, or if you don't run it in the preview provider.
Maybe what I can do instead is let's do a test.text, and we'll just make it something super small. And that way, when we run the test, even if it does do something, it should still work. So then,
I hope. No.
Well, it's not too big. Is it so quickly
Size.
when I'm running this dot upload, is that attaching the file to the input, or is
Yes.
that okay?
Yes. It uses the. So here specifically, it uses testing library user event. So whatever it does, it's down here. But maybe there is a code that fetches it from the file system. This is what Vitest does. So this library doesn't support this by default the file path. Vitest browser has an RPC channel where we can just take the file and feed it to the browser. But maybe there is a bug there also. Interesting.
Okay.
Instead, we can just do new file, I guess. This is new file should work everywhere.
New file. Sorry, when you say new file.
You just do new file.
Oh, like just straight up give it a new file.
Yeah.
What goes in a new file? Do I just give it a name?
It's an empty array.
It's an empty array?
Yeah, it's a buffer. A blob.
Oh. And do I give it a name?
Then it's a name, and I think the second argument is the name.
I should probably look this up, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I remember this just because I was working on this upload. If I didn't, I wouldn't have remembered this.
Where's the constructor? Here we go. File name and then options. And we shouldn't care about any of the options, right? We just want.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So let me get back here.
This is what people usually do with upload in testing library.
New file, and we're going to call this one test.txt. Okay. Then when we run that, what should end up happening?
It should display it. Still,
we got our file.
The name is not correct. Stream.
The size is 0, which is what we wanted.
Yeah. Maybe if it's in an array. So array of files. Yeah.
Oh, whoops.
Oh.
I was expecting the wrapper to work.
Yeah, I was also expecting.
Okay, so then we get here. Still no name. Okay.
Weird.
So that's all right. We could maybe maybe try something else. It looks like this is. Am I missing user event? Good question.
No, user event is installed. I'm not sure what's happening here. To be honest, I will need to look up for this. There is quite a few tests for this. Maybe this needs to be tested in production.
Is there like an example we can look at in here to see if maybe I just missed something?
It's very hard to miss something here, but there is an example. There's literally one line. There is an example in documentation. If you go to documentation, you go to browser mode, and then you go to on the left, there should be interactivity API, and there should be upload somewhere.
User event upload, and so, or you can.
Yeah, there are two ways to do this. Yes, you can do it on an input, or you can call user event, which is also imported from the context.
Okay.
In the preview provider, we just use the testing library one. In Playwright and WebDriver IO, we use native APIs to do this instead.
Got it. Okay, and so, oops.
Yeah, there seems to be a bug. This seems to be a bug to me, or maybe there is something in the HTML. Well, it worked in the dev server, right? So
yeah, it worked in the dev server, and I think it's working in the. Let's get it in here. I think it'll even work in here if we do it manually. So if I pick one of these, and I hit
Yeah.
upload, everything works. So it's something in what I'm trying to do here isn't quite lining up with what the page expects to happen. Do I have to await the page.render?
No. This seems like a bug. I would just.
Okay. Cool. Then we can kind of keep on trucking forward. So what else should we look at?
There is one thing that I wanted to look at, and we don't even need to write any code for this. It's the extension, VS Code extension. Do you think we can showcase it?
I think so. Yeah. I just got a suggestion from Joaquin to actually put the type in. So I'm going to try it.
Actually, yeah, maybe this will help.
Okay. Let's run it again. Oh, it blew away my change.
It didn't save your change, maybe.
Yeah.
When you
Okay.
run it.
Trying again. Type text plain. Okay.
It should rerun the test. So it seems like the connection is broken or something.
Oh, it's hanging. Let me stop it again. And this time we got handles file uploads. Yeah, it looks like, I'm not sure what's going on, but it.
So it was 0, right? Yeah, something's
Still
broken.
0. So yeah, something's up. Don't know what it is.
Hawking will look into this. Don't worry.
Okay. All right. Cool. So that's good. You said an extension?
Yes, VS Code extension. Do you have it? You don't have it installed. You can install it.
Let's see. So the Vitest
It's called
one,
Vitest.
right?
Exactly. It's an official
it.
one. So in Vitest 1.4, I think we started it anew. So I rewrote every part of the extension to work with Vitest API directly instead of spawning Vitest for every click, basically. So what I want to showcase here is you can go to Test Explorer. So wait, I'll click it.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's hard to explain where it is. Oh, here it is. It's like a lab. And you can see here, there are different tests here. You can go here. This is our default example. By default, so this test runs in the browser.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't tested if you have a CLI open and you try this. I wonder what will happen. It opens a new browser and then it goes back. I don't know how to go back to the VS Code extension. Okay, and it works. You can run it again, and it's finished again in 97 milliseconds, 77 milliseconds. So it's similar to how CLI works.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
The cool thing that you can do here is you can press this little button called continuous run and change the content here, and then it should rerun it, theoretically.
I think it might have been on, but you toggle it off, actually.
Okay. I'll give you the.
Because it said, yeah, when we were hovered here, turn off continuous run, turn on continuous run. Okay, so continuous run should be on.
Okay,
and then when we save,
try to save it again.
Let's
yes.
see. So it's running out there. I think this might be because we've got the
several open.
Yeah, let me open up the terminal again. Let's quit this one. And then let's come back over here. And let's run. Okay.
Great.
Oh, that's cool.
So that's correct. Yeah.
Good. And then
doesn't do anything.
So this is one of those things where this is almost certainly my VS Code environment. Because I have installed and uninstalled and tweaked settings, and so many things are broken in my VS Code that I really should just burn it down and start over again. But I have
That's
I
what
have
I like
all
to do.
sorts of, like, Prettier doesn't work properly on this install. Like,
Okay.
so many things are weird. So this is almost certainly not the extension. This is almost certainly my my VS
Okay,
Code.
what was supposed to happen? What was supposed to happen is it would rerun it on your file change, and it wouldn't show like this giant error, but it would still show you the error, like in line. So you can go through every error. You can. Cool thing is that you can turn this mode only for certain tests, not for every file. You know, you are working on a certain test. You want to see if it works. You just edit this, and only this test will run on every change that you make. You can also run coverage, but I'm not sure how coverage works here at the moment, because we need to install the package. We need to install Vitest.
Mm-hmm.
Vitest V8 actually now works with browser mode, coverage V8. And then we can run test with coverage, and it will show the coverage in your IDE.
Nice. So we're missing the coverage, but
we need the package.
Cool.
And yeah, it will show right in the IDE all the like red, yellow, green colors that it usually does.
So if I want to do that, because we have enough time, do I just install?
Yes.
Yes. Is it the Vitest coverage V8?
Exactly. Yeah. If you just install it, it should just work. I tested yesterday, so it did work. So if it doesn't work, it's not my fault.
Okay, we're
it works on
running
my
now.
computer.
And coverage is always a little bit slower.
Yes, technically it can be, but I don't know if this is because of the coverage or because... Oh, right. So this is interesting. I need to write this down, because if you run it with preview, it will not work. It only works with preview, with Playwright provider at the moment.
Oh, okay.
So we can also install... Okay, I will write it down that this doesn't work.
Why? Cancel test.
I don't know why it doesn't cancel it. Chat, why doesn't it work?
This is the only way I know how to solve problems these days. Okay.
Yeah. That's a good solution.
Okay, so now it's sitting, and if I run these regular, it runs through all the tests. We get all of our tests going, and then when I come back here, we can see that all of our tests ran. And then I can choose one individually to run, which is great. I really like that. So I mean, this is awesome. And then we can also see here, this is telling me that the most recent run passed, right? So if I save this and rerun this test, now I can see that it failed. And so I can see at a glance where my failing tests are. And that's really, really cool.
And you have auto suggestions that you don't have in Vitest UI, you know?
Yeah. This is super cool. Like I love that it kind of jumps in and says what's happening. So this is great. And then I can run it again, and now it passed. Ta-da!
And it was very fast, by the way.
Yeah, 168 milliseconds on that. So
let's try to install Playwright provider. Do we have time for this?
We got about 5 minutes. Let's see what.
I mean, I just wanted to show the coverage there, how it looks.
Yeah, is it just Playwright?
Yes.
Okay.
That's it. I will probably need to use like Playwright install, whatever it is, for the browsers.
Like Playwright install?
I think. I'm not sure.
We'll see what I got.
And we need, while it's installed, we can specify provider Playwright in the config itself, config file. Yes, instead of preview, we can say Playwright. And instead of Chrome, we can say Chromium, because Playwright has specific names.
Okay.
Then we should be able to go back to the File Explorer and run coverage. Test
Here.
Explorer, sorry. Yeah.
This is coverage.
And let's pray that it works.
Here comes Chromium.
That's the browser.
It's doing the things. Oh, we don't actually resolve this this file.
Oh.
That actually, so that's why that's the whole reason this has been causing problems, is we never actually finished this.
Okay.
Oh, it timed out though, so that's good. All right.
Yeah, what does it show? Does it show any coverage?
Does it show any coverage?
No, it doesn't show. It doesn't show any coverage. I guess.
Where would I find the coverage, like in the files themselves?
No, the coverage should have been shown in the file preview. So here, yeah, test results. It should say the coverage, and then you would see coverage down there, like at the bottom.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah, I'm not sure why.
Well, I did, man. Let me just get rid of this this test because we didn't finish it, and then let's try one more time.
I can give you the link for how it looks.
Yeah, why don't you
maybe?
Do that? Why is this failing? Oh, test skip, not just commented out. That's the right call, because it was yelling at me because things were not working. Okay, so let's try that one more time. I'm just gonna force a reload here. Then we're gonna hop back into here and we're gonna run one of these. It's gonna get through everything, skip the file uploads. That all just worked. And when we get back in here,
still nothing.
Yeah, still no coverage. Do we? And we probably need to like add a coverage file or something.
It may be because of the view, because view has some issues with coverage.
Definitely,
but
could be.
I'm not sure. I will just open the link.
Yeah, send me a link.
Okay. Yes. So this is how it would have looked like.
Cool.
Here's
okay.
Yep.
Well, this is great. So, you know, I definitely would say that I challenged this with my chaos setup. So a good reminder to me that every once in a while I should just wipe VS Code and reinstall because I keep doing terrible things to it. But overall, like this is just, it's nice to have an API that feels good to work with. So for people who want to continue on here and learn more, where should they go for more information?
Documentation, I guess.
All right, so let me send another link to the docs.
And
that's
GitHub maybe. GitHub has a releases page that you can see every release, every change that we made.
To a specific specific
repo?
In
Vitest. Yeah.
Got it.
This is the most complete way to know what has changed is through releases.
Okay, so jump in there, maybe give that.
Someone already made the change. Last commit.
Oh, nice. And then let's see. I'm going to remind everybody to go give you a follow. Anywhere else I should throw in here?
Anthony, Matthias, Joaquin, every team member. Ari, Hiroshi.
Let me do this down here. Go check out the folks who work on this. Anthony has been on the show before. We can actually.
Anthony has a lot of projects.
Here we go. This is the original intro to Vitest. Very cool stuff. So you can go check that one out. And yeah, make sure you go and do that. While I'm on this page, let me just do one more shout out to. I'm not going to scroll through the whole transcript. Instead, we're going to go over here. Not going to. Oh my goodness, I keep hitting bottomless pages.
So many people.
How about this one? This one's shorter. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Good. All right. So we got a lot of good things coming up on the show. Make sure that you subscribe to the newsletter. Get on the hit the like button on YouTube. All the things that help let more people know about the show. Make sure that you know when something's coming up. And that this show, like every show, has been live captioned. We've had Vanessa here from White Coat Captioning. Thank you so much, Vanessa. That's made possible by Netlify. Thank you, Netlify. And we've been pairing all day using Tuple. You've seen Vladimir take over my screen a few times. That is a really nice feature. It really makes this pair programming stuff nice. So thank you, Tuple, for sponsoring the show as well. And again, Vladimir, thank you so much for taking some time with us today. I think this was a lot of fun. I do think any way that we can make testing a little bit less painful to get going with, to run quickly, is a great thing. So thank you very much for the work that you do. Remember, y'all, you can in fact go and sponsor these projects on GitHub that you rely on. So go kick them a few bucks every month. It is very, very much appreciated. Any parting words for everybody before we wrap up?
Okay, thank you. This was very fun. I have some notes for bugs that I need to fix now after this talk. But yeah, this was great fun. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, this was super fun. And y'all remember, there is an Astro workshop coming up next week. I'm gonna send you a quick link to this Astro workshop. It's gonna be all day on Tuesday, and then on Thursday, I've got Ben from the Astro team coming on to talk about the new features. So next week is basically gonna be Astro week. Make sure you sign up for this. Get in here. Let's learn some Astro. Let's go build some good websites. Vladimir, thank you so much for spending some time. We will see you all next time.